The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. Today, we are talking about quoting that's faster, more accurate, and easier to buy because slow proposals lose deals. We'll dig into how QuoteWerks Web, now with AI features and key distributor integrations, helps MSPs reduce the busy work, cut errors, and win more business. Now, if you've been in the channel, for any length of time, you know that QuoteWerks is a go-to for quoting and proposals. And we're going to be focusing on QuoteWerks Web, the evolution of the desktop power in a browser, plus all the AI capabilities and those new integrations that MSPs care about. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in today's guest. I've got Brian Laufer with QuoteWerks. He's the vice president. How are you doing today, Brian?
Doing great.
It's great to have you here. It's been a little while since we've chatted last, and you guys are always busy. Always something new, in the pipeline, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's anything from listening to customers, finding out what they need, or adding a new integration. We're always there. We've got over 115 integrations, so that's where we spend a lot of our time.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's no small amount there, and as we know, MSPs are being asked to do more with less. Quotes need to be accurate, margin smart, and we need to get them out the door fast. Essentially, the right process and tool set can help turn quotes from being a bottleneck to a competitive advantage, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's really where we come in, because like a lot of times people are using like Excel or Word, or even some of the basic quoting capabilities that are found in like their PSA tools, but that doesn't really have the true integrations that they need with distribution or getting it out the door to the customer, as far as like getting the approvals from managers and stuff like that as well.
Well, I will reference many years ago, back when I did have some hair. I remember meeting a member of your team at a conference somewhere, and these were my very early days of being an MSP. And the selling point, the value proposition, that was poised at the booth was the fact that you can save so much time in putting a quote together. And, and I started thinking about how much time it does take to put a quote together. It is significant, especially with working with multiple distributors, and you've got different pricing, different availability. And I mean, I remember those days of having to log in. This is back when, you remember the initial days, when you didn't have a big team and you're doing a lot of the stuff yourself, but logging into every single vendor, looking to see who has it, who has the best price. Then you're going in and you're putting it into some type of quoting tool. In those days, it was, just a quoting tool within the PSA, which, is really not a quoting tool. It's just an add-on. And I mean, it's enough to pull your hair out. And I was blown away, about how much time can be saved when you have the right quoting tool in place.
Exactly. I mean, and that's one of the things that we make really easy, is the fact that, we integrate, I think we integrate with like 20 different vendors and distributors at this point. The top, the big guys, like the TD Synexes, the D&H, the Ingram Micros. Yeah. We also integrate with some of the smaller guys, and even some of the ones you wouldn't normally think of, like an Amazon Business as an example. And the thing that's nice is on one screen, you can do a search for, your laptop that has 16 gig of RAM, is Windows 11, Lenovo, all across the board. Narrow it down, and then when you find that particular laptop, now you can actually see who has it in stock, who has it at the lower price, and sometimes you can also see the fact that they have it on order, or there's a special deal on those items as well. So I mean, it saves a lot of time being able to see that in one place.
Yeah. And even more granular is, depending on which distributor. So maybe distributor A, we won't throw names out there, but let's say distributor A has 4 different warehouses across the country. And you can see which warehouse closest to you, so you can get it as quick as possible, has it in stock versus, like I'm in Michigan, if the only location that has it is in California, I might look at a different distributor and see if they have stock that's closer, and
Exactly.
so that just all extremely beneficial and being more efficient, more productive, and essentially more profitable. Now, I think a lot of our listeners are well aware of QuoteWerks. I mean, you guys are a name that's been out there for. I mean, gosh, you were just mentioning to me that you've been with QuoteWerks for 25 years, and so you guys are even older than that. So, people know QuoteWorks, people know the desktop version. However, you guys, in addition to having a web version available, you've introduced a whole new web version and a web only version, I should say. Can you elaborate more on that for those that aren't familiar with the web only version?
Yeah, and I'll clarify it's not technically a web only version, but what we've done
Okay.
is about 8 years, 7, 8 years ago, we came out with QuoteWorks Web. It was a very basic web portal, basically,
Okay.
which enabled someone, to create a quote for a customer. It did not really allow you to do much beyond that. So, if you had already set everything up, great. Otherwise, it didn't have all the same, feature parity that the desktop had. Like, it took us a while to add the configurator. It took us a while to add required items and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
what's really happened along the way is we've taken all of the core business logic that's in the desktop and migrated it to the web. So everything that you liked in the desktop is now in web, but you don't have to go through this whole migration process because we actually are using the same backend. So everything works
Okay.
exactly the same as it does on desktop. So if you're on desktop right now, you can click a button and now you're off on web and you never have to use desktop ever again. If you're coming as a
Okay.
new customer, you can just start off on web. Or if you're one of those customers that, hey, I'm still using QuickBooks Desktop. Believe it or not, there's still a lot of people that still use it. You need to have
Yeah.
QuoteWorks Desktop for that piece, but you could still have them. So for your accounting, and you can still have all of your salespeople out using QuoteWorks Web. So we make it
Okay.
really easy for those that want to be on desktop, hybrid, or on web.
So, what was the driving force behind developing QuoteWorks Web?
Yeah. Well, I would say COVID really spurred everything on for us.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people started working from home that weren't already. So that's when we started seeing a lot more push towards web. But really, I mean, we needed to be able to quote where people were, and that is divorced from the desktop mostly. So that's really was the driving force. And the great thing is the way that we did it. All of your layouts move with you. All of your products move with you. Your history in QuoteWorks all move with you as well.
Okay. And is this ultimately helping to meet the needs of the evolving, modern MSP?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I mentioned the fact that we've moved a lot of the core business logic to web, but what we've done too is we've also thought about, well, now that we're on web, what can we do? You know, so
Right.
there's the whole like AI bandwagon, where people are just throwing out AI features left and right without actually thinking about, well, what would be a good way to do this? Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's actually useful as opposed to, how can I ask simple questions that the AI can answer for me? So what we've done is we've looked at ways that can really, you know, take that quoting environment to the next level. So one of the areas that we have is we have like the ability to do scripting within QuoteWorks. And the problem is not everybody is a developer, and in order to do scripting, you need to use JavaScript within QuoteWorks Web. So what we've done is we've actually used AI So you can use natural language to say, hey, whenever I add these items, make sure to also do this, 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 and this, and it writes the script for you. So you don't have to know code, and it will just run automatically for you. Anytime you save a quote, you add an item to the quote, or so I was just in Canada for ASCII Toronto, and I don't know if you know, but anytime, like if you're in Quebec, you actually have to have a French version and an English version of whatever you're selling, or at least the French version. So we've made
Yeah.
it so you can actually have automatic language translations happen. So if you've done English in the description, you can automatically make it translate to French into custom memo 1, so you don't have to know French necessarily. So it's stuff like that that
Okay.
we've done to kind of make the experience that much better, using AI, where AI makes sense.
So, a couple other, I guess another question for you in this regard is the capability with the AI scripting where if I add, let's say, a Lenovo desktop, let's actually say a Lenovo laptop that don't naturally come with on-site warranty. Is the capability where you could have it pull that item up, the warranty that matches that laptop?
So you could do that, but actually you wouldn't necessarily need to do that because that's already built into our Eatalize integration. We already have it so you can see all the different warranties that are there, but that is a good
Oh,
example.
nice.
You could do that. But
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily do it for that example, but you do have the ability to do exactly what you're asking for.
Okay. What are some other use cases for for the AI scripting?
Yeah, so typically, what you could do is, when we're bringing things in from Eatalize, we have the ability to say, how many, RAM slots there are on a particular motherboard. So you could then make sure that things that need to be in parity are in parity, and that you don't exceed the amount
Yeah.
of RAM that's necessarily available on that motherboard, as an example, if you were to build out a workstation. So that's
Oh, nice.
another prime example of something that you could do. Or you can always make sure of, if you're selling X number of workstations, you have to sell at least X number of monitors with that as well. So that way, you're making sure that everything fits within your guidelines of what you're doing. The other thing you can do too is just make sure of, hey, if the margin isn't hit, then you can't send this out to a customer. Even if you don't actually force the sales rep to go through an approval process, you could actually do an AI approval process inside of the actual quote itself.
Oh, wow. So from a sales and efficiency perspective, that's pretty significant.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and again, time is money. I was just placing an order for a service in the last couple of days that the most interesting thing is the sales rep contacted me immediately, and probably within 10 minutes I received a quote, and
Right.
and I signed. I mean, it was boom, 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 done. And let's just think through the process. If I hadn't received that quote so quickly, maybe I received it a few hours later. And let's face it, some things are complex and do take time. So not everything can be instantaneous, but the longer it would take for that rep to get it to me, I might have lost interest. I may have got busy doing something else, and
Yep.
and all of a sudden that might be delayed, and maybe the sale doesn't happen, or it takes longer to get that sale to be closed. And so time definitely is money, and the quicker we can get that quote to them, the sooner that they'll commit and you've got that sale locked in.
Exactly. And that's actually that ties in nicely to one of our new features that we just released, which is something that people have been asking for forever, which is a PAX 8 integration with QuoteWerks and QuoteWerks Desktop, as well as QuoteWerks Web. Because, finding those, SaaS subscription models, which ones work, which ones don't, depending on who the customer is,
Yeah.
can be a pain in the neck. Not only that, but just,
Yep.
prior to this integration that we had, I don't believe there's any other quoting tool that has an integration directly with Pax8. So we actually have the ability to search for subscriptions, find the whatever, if we want to be on a monthly billing or an annual billing, and then we also have the ability to narrow down based on the commitment to get the correct price that we need to be charging that customer for that specific subscription.
That's huge. Can you go a little bit more in depth into the value that provides for MSPs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going back to your example of, getting that quote out faster and, closing the deal, that's exactly what these MSPs, your MSP customers are looking for. They need to get that quote out as soon as they're done. And so the nice thing is, even while you're working on the phone with the customer, you can be building that quote. So as you're talking to them and that they need, Microsoft Office licenses, 365 licenses, you can go ahead and start building that out for that customer while you're on the phone with them. And, if that they're an education customer, you can get that education discount. If that they're a government customer, you can get that government discount. So you're able to make sure that you're quoting the right items without having to do copying and pasting. You're getting your current pricing from Pax8 at that time when you're quoting that customer right then and there.
That's awesome. Now you guys have a special. Go ahead.
So sorry. And then the other thing that's really nice about the integration with Pax8, is that with that information, say we're using Autotask or Halo PSA or ConnectWise, when we win that opportunity or deal, those subscriptions automatically flow in to the PSA to then do what it normally does and procures the licenses and subscriptions for you inside of the PSA. So we're a natural progression from quote to order to allocation.
Nice. I love that. So it's way more than just quoting. Taking it many steps in the overall process.
Exactly.
That's very cool. And you guys have a special offer for our Everything MSP community, and I want to have you elaborate a little bit more on that as far as the free implementation.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've found is that QuoteWerks is actually pretty easy to implement on your own. We've got lots of information as far as like videos and documentation, but to really make sure that your customer, that the Everything MSP community is able to implement QuoteWerks effectively, we're actually offering a free implementation where you actually work with one-on-one with one of our senior techs, and we make sure that QuoteWerks is implemented the right way and the way that works well for your organization. So by the time you're done, you're creating quotes that are branded with your logo, with your colors, and you've got your integrations already set up. So within 2-3 hours, you're ready to go.
Nice. And another thing I wanted to cover is you guys, from a pricing perspective, you base it off of concurrent user licensing. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. We make it really easy to work with QuoteWerks. I mean, one of the things is that, typically, even an MSP that may have 5 sales reps, for instance, you're not necessarily creating, all 5 sales reps aren't creating a quote at the same time. You'd be lucky if 2 were doing it. So we make it really easy to get up and running, and we've made it, we've actually changed our pricing model to be more in line with what people are used to. We used to make it very a la carte, but it was confusing for people. So now we've gone to the typical 3-tier system. So it's really easy to get up and running, but you don't need to have a license for each user. We have unlimited quotes, unlimited named users. It's just how many people need to be in at any given time.
Awesome. Brian, as we wrap up, any final parting words you'd love to share to our audience?
That's a great question. I look forward to seeing you on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be at DattoCon as well as at IT Nation in Orlando. So if you're around, definitely look us up. And I'll be sending out emails to all of our customers and all of our leads so that they have a good chance to meet up and answer any questions that they have.
Awesome. Brian, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan.
And for everybody out there, be sure to check out QuoteWerks, quotewerks.com. Works is WERKS, just to make sure you see that. And check them out, learn more about them. And until next time, we will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.